Hey folks, this is Jake Davis with an on-the-fly review for you. And I want to get to this video as quick as I can because I want to finish recording before my kids wake up this morning. Uh, Today I'm talking about Pearl, released last weekend, directed by Ty West and starring Mia Goth. This is a prequel to the film Ets that was released only 6 months ago. So I guess I gotta do a little bit of explaining about that. There may be a bit of spoilers in here, none intentional, nothing massive, nothing the trailers didn't give away. Uh, but more spoiling towards Ets than Pearl. So in the film Ets, which took place in 1979, was about a bunch of people in Texas shooting their first porno, a couple of film students, a couple of strippers, and some, construction guys throwing their money together and trying to do what they can just as a way to make a better life for themselves, a chance for fame, a chance for fortune, a chance to get out of the kind of dull, depressing lives they all feel they are currently in. And of course, they they buy they rent out a guest house on this farm in the middle of nowhere, and it turns out the people running the guest house are this psychotic old couple who who are, well, they're really psychotic and they're really perverted. And it was a dual performance of Mia Goth as both the young girl, the stripper doing her first porno, the final girl, and as the main villain, Pearl, who basically, whenever she's triggered by her perversions, which is pretty much anytime she sees an attractive young person, she goes on a killing spree, apparently. She plays both roles under a shitload of very, very interesting movie makeup, trying to make someone old, but at the same time kind of inhuman looking. Very fascinating work, I thought. I've heard some people talk about it's just too obvious that it's makeup on younger actors, but I thought it was kind of wild looking. Looked like these people's skin had turned to leather, and if you don't know, leather is dead skin. Anyhow, so this film is set 61 years earlier during the final days of World War One. Pearl is a woman in her early 20s, and her husband at this time, Howard, is off in World War One in Europe. She's stuck on her family farm, the same place the first movie took place. Hi, baby.
Jake.
It's Daddy. She's stuck on her family farm with her grizzled immigrant mother and her invalid father. And she hates the fact that her husband is getting to see Europe and she isn't. What a bitch. Well, while Pearl basically just fucks around all day, doing songs for the animals, songs and dances for the animals on the farm, while she's not sexually molesting the scarecrow or feeding these poor animals to her local pet gator in the lake. Her sister-in-law tells her that there's auditions.
Chuck E. Cheese.
That is not Chuck E. Cheese. That's the wrong Chucky. That's a different Chucky. And this is my Chucky. Go get your Chuck E. Cheese. I'll give him some screen time. Go get him. Go get him. Anyhow. So her sister-in-law tells her that these auditions are coming up about this traveling Christian group who are going to be, they're putting together a bunch of chorus girls because they're going to be doing, an act while traveling Texas over the summer or whatever. So, obsessed now. And seeing this Christian chorus line that's not leaving the state of Texas as her way to the big time. She goes on an absolute killing spree of anyone and everyone she sees to be even vaguely in her way. It's great. It's not as straightforward comedic as the first film, and unlike the first film, there's really no one here to root for. Her mother's insane. You feel bad for her father, the invalid man, who's just completely conscious and helpless while everyone around him is being slaughtered or is insane. You feel bad for him, for sure, but there's no rooting for him because you know he's not going to make it. Anyhow, I thought this film was daring, bold, and I just gotta praise Ty West's work. I've heard of this guy before. I hadn't seen any of his films, like The House of the Devil, The Innkeepers. I haven't seen these movies. But Helen, I kind of feel like I may have been sleeping on the job because these movies was phenomenal. I've been a fan of Mia Goth since the first time I saw her. She's a very fascinating, interesting looking woman, very beautiful and also unique. Uh, and I really thought she was good in the handful of movies she's done so far, especially Emma. I thought that was a terrific movie. I've praised it before. Uh, but between these movies, I mean, I think she's in a way kind of the breakout star of the year. She was great. Her long take towards the end of this film, she gives this long take monologue, and it is presented masterfully. The camera holds on her uncomfortably long, and when it does cut away from her, instead of feeling like giving the actress a break, it feels like it's giving the audience a break from this intensity. And it's a hell of a performance, a great performance in this movie. I mean, even the closing credits, you can't take your eyes off of it. Really, it's a great movie, and in a way, I kind of like Ets more, but it's two pieces. It's like it, It really feels like two films, but it's the same story, and it is. Even though you don't have to see one movie to understand the other. You know what I mean? There's references, callbacks, even transitions that are right out of the last movie. But this, it's just completely its own movie. It's not as funny. There's like virtually very little levity. It's darker. It's more serious. It's interesting. It's a great fucking film, man. And I just want to say she's handing me all these bobbleheads now. I got Daryl Ditson and Dwight Schrute. It just showed that horror movies are not a one-way street. You know what I mean? You can be trashy, you can be gory, you can be artistic, you can be ambitious, and you can do it all with the same movie. And that's what Ty West did this year. There's been some fun movies this year, some fun horror movies. Barbarian was fucking batshit wild. Awesome movie. Black Phone was like the best Stephen King movie that Stephen King had nothing to do with. And but these two Ty West movies, if you're a horror fan, you have to see these movies. I'm saying you have to. They're that good. Anyhow, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. 5 stars if that wasn't obvious. I'm Jake Davis, and with these guys, especially Chucky. Love for Chucky. I'll catch you on the fly.